Good morning, happy Sunday, happy artificial jet lag day too. That was not fun for me. Usually I don't get, it's not too bad for me, but today it was just impossible to wake up at the normal time. I had to let myself sleep in an hour and a half to what yesterday would have been just half an hour after normal time. It sucks. But I'm here now. Also, yesterday, I was able to go and buy a new display. Physically, it's the same size as the previous one, but instead of a 4K, I got a 2K. So it's less resolution, but as far as I think you're all concerned, I don't think there's going to be that big of a difference. We don't need this to be 150%. It should be pretty much the same for all of you. For me, I just don't need to zoom in quite as much to read everything when I have the display far enough away from me. So, something else to go over, because shortly before I started today, at 4:44 a.m. my time, let's see, I had a message in Discord. It's sort of chatting about asking a question. Let me see if I can do that. This should be fine. Okay, so yeah, this is fine. Okay, so let's see. We had a question here. We were thinking about adding scripts to the ECS system that we have, the core style on YouTube right now. Something like Unity's, where each entity could have multiple scripts and still use systems, but for general stuff like a physics engine or rendering. Now, I've not ever used Unity. Well, have I ever used Unity? I think I booted up Unity and I bought a course for it at one point in time, and then I never actually took it. So I don't actually really understand the script system that Unity has. I know that that a lot of those engines have like scripts that you can run, but I don't really know what it feels like from even just the user's point of view. I guess like the game dev's point of view. Also, you can see Zilby's little daily. Why do you do this? This is really weird. I'm down here. All right. So I plan on implementing them. Okay. So we have a folder for scripts. Critter mod. Okay. So we're gonna have a trait script. On attach. Okay, so we'll have on attach, on update, and on collide. Okay, so we basically are going to create a way for the what? Hi. Stacking, hello. And Zilby, hello, hi. I don't have any real toys for you right now, Zubby. Okay, so basically events that we can send to them to run. So it's sort of like, is this sort of like creating a mod system where basically the engine can be modded by these scripts? And I suppose these scripts could be provided, well, these scripts would be provided by the game dev, right? So essentially we'd be creating our own engine with the ECS. Hi. I'm fairly certain that Zilby's freaked out these days by either the displays and or the microphone. He really doesn't like it when the microphone's down like this. Usually I keep it up, and then he's a little bit more willing to hang out over here. But if I did that, you wouldn't be able to hear me. And he does come here sometimes. He just freaks out sometimes too. Hi, Zilby. No? Okay. So we'd have that. Okay, so then an example script, our foo1 script, it's attached to, okay, the entity ID. Which if you've taken that or you watched it when I created that, the entity ID is the index of the vertical of all the components that make up the entity. Okay, and then the developer will import script for foo-script on attach. Okay, so when this event happens on attach, attached to, set that, okay. On update, run that. And then we write some other scripts if we want to. So we have, right, okay. Then we have a script manager. This is the actual component that gets attached to the entities. It stores the list of scripts each entity has. Okay, so it's basically controlling it's a place for all these scripts to be stored. Unattach and update on collide. Okay, so you have some collider to handle that. And then you run the scripts every frame, I suppose. Just a simple loop through them. So use the get script. Okay, past the entity, you get the script manager for this specific script. For event, a script manager, queued events. Okay, so we're gonna see, we go into like our events and we pass them whatever events they had. It's a lot of loops in a row. And I know we had that a little bit in some of the other systems, although I think that was more for deleting, which then we were able to refactor out quite a bit. So I don't know. I think a big part of my not knowing and being uncertain is because I've never used an engine that has a script system. So I find it even hard to believe like what you use this for. Like I think what I would need to do is actually create something with either Unity or Godot, because I think both of those use scripts. With Godot, we can have the advantage of also playing with Rust with it too. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can create scripts with Rust. So, I mean, from a very quick looking at this, so let's see. Briefly thinking this through, I believe that it would work. I'm a bit concerned about the triple for loop, but if the scripts are fast enough, then it shouldn't matter. Let's see. Other than that, let's see. Having a Bit of trouble. Let's see. The only other thing is like, as for adding external functionality in, I think that works just fine. I think this would be fine. Okay, so I will keep that. You're up there. Okay. So that is piece 1, where we set that up. And now we can continue on with our web dev stuff with Yew.js or Yew.rs. All right, so what we have here is I'm now back into the VM because, monitor able to run on Windows. Also, Docker and all that stuff I've never installed on the Windows side, so have to use the VM for this. Let's see. We're making the request back, and then I think it just all is broken and terrible and doesn't work. All that fun stuff. So I believe in login we just have an entire mess of things. Actually, the lack of the actual commented out code lets me know I didn't push up what we did last time on the Mac device, which is sitting next to me. It didn't work, so I'm not really all that torn up about it. We're making the request successfully. That's really what matters. So what do I need to do? I need to make the request, and I need to get the body, and I need to store it inside of Bounce. Oh, and here we are back still with a traditional component. Okay, we're going to convert this back to a... We're going to convert this back to a functional component. That's the first thing we're going to do. And I don't know, maybe I should just start over with this. That might be faster. Yeah, let's just do that. The login to server we can keep. Oh, the user data we can keep. That goes away. great. I just wanted to make sure I still had this here. Okay, so now knowing what we do about all this stuff, we want to make this and probably not make it quite as horrible as last time. Okay, so what that means is I need a username and I need a password form field. Flint Rusty, hello. What tech stack do I use at work? Let's see. I have an old server, legacy server that we are turning off, but technically it's not turned off yet. So we have a PHP 7.3 server that's running Yew.rs and Laravel together. Yeah, that's the thing. I can't wait till we get rid of that. Then we have a bunch of Lambda functions. We use just Node.js for that. We use the latest version of Node that we can on Amazon. PHP. So when we talk about PHP, we have to talk about current PHP and old PHP because there's sort of like a big giant divide between 7 and anything before that. Because at starting at 7.4, things got really fast. And even with like 7.0 and up, PHP started getting a lot of modernization into it. And they're just continuing to move really fast. They're at like an 8 now, 8 or 9. I would be perfectly happy continuing to use PHP if I could keep it up to date. And I can use a long-term support version. But in their, I don't know why they made this choice. PHP doesn't have a long-term support version. Every version they claim is a long-term support version, but that really just means after 2 years, you have to get rid of it. Like, it has to be updated. So we, and they don't guarantee backwards compatibility. So it's really kind of not fun to have to like constantly update all your stuff. So for business purposes, I can't necessarily recommend PHP right now, unless you have no choice due to a library or a framework. Let's see. Then we have a lot of front ends, so we separate out our front ends, and we have I keep those with like generally serverless style, so a lot of no backends to serve them up necessarily, using something like Amplify or just S3 to serve it. That's going to be Vue.js, Vue.js, and then let's see. We are also for a database layer, for a data layer, we're using Postgres, and also a tool called Hasura to set up a GraphQL interface on top of that. And then we use Apollo inside of Vue to connect to that. That's it. It's so far it's been working out really well for us, and we like it a lot. And GraphQL has just been a game changer for us too. You know Java and you work with it. You want to know and learn a new language for your pastime. Do you mean like your personal time? Your choices are C# and Python. Which one would you recommend? You're an automation test engineer. Okay, so you do automation test engineering at your day job. Do you want to become like a full engineer, or do you want to stay and like grow in the automation test engineer side? I don't think I'll really change my answer depending upon that too much. I guess like the real question is, do you want to build games with Unity? Like, yeah, that's like the big question is, do you want to make games with Unity? Because if the answer is yes, C# is the way to go because that's the language of Unity. Python is great for automating just pretty much everything. Data science is pretty heavy in Python. Systems administration and DevOps is pretty heavy in Python. you can do pretty much anything you want to, because Python is a generic programming language. So yeah, you could do anything you want with it. So I would, given those two, I would probably choose Python and go with that one. Then your third language after that could be whatever you want. Especially with Java, you already have a statically compiled, strongly typed language. So Python might be good. Togglebit rating with a party of 98. Welcome, 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 Togglebit and Raiders. How are you all doing today? And Togglebit, how's your stream? Python seems easy to learn. It's I think Python, now it's been a long time since I've used Python and I never got too deep into it, so take this with a grain of salt. Oh, you forgot to eat again? Well, then in that case, have a great meal. Well, I assume that you're heading out to have a meal. That's usually what happens if you forget to eat. Some Forest. Hello. All right, Togglebit, I'll probably see you on one of your streams next week. Let's see. Yeah, Python is pretty easy to learn. I think it's one of those easy to learn, hard to master languages. My recommendation, stay away from 2. 3's been out for 10 plus years now. And there's still tons of people that are just tons of resources on how to use 2, and it will technically work, but just start with 3. That's what I recommend. I never really learned I learned 3, but I learned it at a time that 2 was it was only 3 years old or so, and you would think that would be enough time for everybody to switch over, but Python switch was a disaster. All right, today we're working on a Yew.rs front end, sort of we're not working on it as a framework, we're using it as a framework to sort of explore around and figure out some how to create a to-do application. And so today we're specifically working on sending out HTTP requests to the back end, sending a post request with some data as part of it. So we previously got an actual request to send out. So we're rewriting this as a function component because we did it previously in a struct component, and we would rather use that. So here I have my login. Okay, and this is now displaying here as just login. So now I also need a username and password text field, which I have my text input wrapper here. What I'm not super happy about is I don't get any helpers with VS Code to tell me what I need to do to pass in. I guess if I try to save this, get an error, and it will tell me no method name build. But what it really means is that I need to go to the text input wrapper and see that I have these properties that I need to pass in. On-change callback, a label, placeholder is optional, and then the input type, which is going to be this specific one of these input types. So let's see. We'll do label first. That one's easy. In this case, label is going to be username. Then placeholder, if I don't do anything, it will be the input type, so that's gonna be fine. Okay, input type is next. And then I want this to be input type text. And then finally on change. So I need to create a change, an on-change callback that we're going to pass in here. We're going to use this callback that we come with the Yew prelude. We're going to be given the actual username. So and let's just log it for right now. That should make you all happy. So now if I try to enter in something and I go off of it, we get that console logged out. I'm using Glue for the console login. It just makes it so much easier when working with WebAssembly type stuff. Okay, now I want to do the same thing, but for a password. So I guess we'll do you first. Okay, so when I enter you in, we get this out too. Okay. Now, the final thing is going to be a button that when we press it, we want to actually, have the thing happen. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we probably want this to be in a form. So we want a button. We just have this button wrapper here. What is the camera in the bottom right corner? Oh, and Zilby's not here anymore. I might as well turn that off. That is the cat cam. So I have a little tree next to my desk. Zilby sometimes comes down here and hangs out. He was a little bit scared and doing the little jump off the walls thing, which I'm not exactly sure why he loves to do that when he's scared. He'll stand next to the wall, jump straight up, and then turn sideways, hit the walls with his feet, shoot off like a foot, and then do that 2 or 3 more times. And it's hard to tell if he's actually scared or if he's doing that to try to get our attention, because it's actually quite loud. Literally bouncing off the walls. I am almost blocking this. Okay, so we're going to do another div. And we're going to do a button wrapper. I believe I have this as just a label, and this is going to be login. Apparently it's not label. Okay, fine. Oh, right. This is the one that I put separately. So it's not label button wrapper. It's in a mod because we were playing around with external style files. Oh, I have to give it a button. Okay, so I give a label and a button color, which is one of these. Which is literally just color. We want to make that. Let's do primary. Okay, so we have our button, we have all this stuff. Now I want to wrap this all in a single form. And we're gonna want an on submit callback with this one. So this is gonna be handle form submit. I can never remember exactly what the name of like most of these events are. This is not a submit event. It's something very similar. Okay, we're gonna log the event though. And then we're gonna use you in here. It's a focus event. That's what it is. No errors. So now, if I put in this, well, first of all, we got that sort of Windows flash, and also never save. But we did get the event coming out here, but window flash is bad. So that's letting me know that it's attempting to reload the page. So we have to take this event and prevent default. But now we need type annotations, a focus event. Okay, there. So we're no longer having it refresh the page. Now I want it to actually send out the request, which does mean that I essentially need to create a stringified message. I don't think this works the way I was sort of expecting it to. I think this is technically incorrect because the JS value needs to be a string. So we need the stringified JSON. At this point here. So I need our body. It's going to be equal to is it JS value from certain I think I said, do I do sorted JSON? Sorted JSON to string. And the value. Okay, so I need user data. Might as well just do, wait, you need to be a reference, don't you? Okay, well, this username is up in here, and it happens at a different time than what this happens. So we now need to get access to this. So there's a couple ways we can do it. We can use a centralized system to store that, which is called bounce. That's what we're using, similar to Redux. We can imagine, or we can use state and store it in there. Let's use. You can use state. Use state for this. I think it is. Caleb, hello. So let's see. Let state equals use state. We have an init function. So think about this. We can actually probably use this user data here. And we'll set them to empty strings. Okay, so what are you upset about? Unexpected end of input. Did I? Oh, this thing here. Oops. Hold on. No wonder it didn't like that. Okay, so we now have our initial state. Okay, use the state handle. I believe what I do is I can clone this, and then we can move it in here and we do a set. Which means that you also need to be mutable. Sorry, need to be public. Okay, so this is going to be let username state. Okay, so we clone you, and now inside of here, we're going to have this be a move. And then I forget exactly how we're going to do this. It's handle username state dot username. We'll just set you to the changed username. Changed username. You're thinking about trying out web development. Where would I recommend starting? So I guess it depends. Is this what's your purpose? What's your plan with this? Do you want to get to work in a company as a web developer, or you just like want to make some like websites for yourself or some web applications? The advice might change depending upon your end goal with web dev. Let's see. I set that, and then I think I have to do a. Oh, it's a set. Okay, so we do a set, and then it's a brand new one. Okay, that's the problem. A job would just be a benefit. You mainly want to make some things and learn. Okay, so if the job isn't something you like super care about, then I don't think it really matters what system you use. Almost, let's see. Almost every single web framework out there would work for you, probably. So whatever language you're familiar with, find a web framework inside that language. So for example, if you know Python, there is a framework called Flask, which is pretty simple to get into and start using. And I think it would be great to like, basically that sets up your server. And then for a front end, you could choose a front end framework. I would probably recommend either Vue or React. There are so many tutorials out on them, and I would just like follow the tutorials, and then just build whatever you need to build, and you're good to go. And I wouldn't worry about like architecture to begin with. You'll figure that out as you get some projects under your belt. Okay, so I actually probably want to get a copy of the user out first, then make changes to it, then we set it again. So I can do this. Can I then destructure you out? So I can do. Oh, but this is gonna be so weird with like the handle. Yeah. Okay. So let's grab you out. User. So you recommend that over HTML, CSS, JS directly? Probably. If you're trying to like just program all that stuff directly, unless it's the simplest of web applications, you're gonna run into just having to like program a bunch of things that these are all solved problems in web frameworks. So for example, you want to hide certain buttons whenever something else happens. Well, that will happen pretty auto-magically with any front-end framework. Or like have text displayed in a different area when you set something up. For auto magic in most frameworks. You'd have to write all that stuff up yourself with HTML, CSS, and JS, which I think is a great sort of thing to try out as a new developer if you want to become a professional front-end dev. I don't think it's that necessary if you just want to do something for yourself. Okay, so I need to clone this, but if I clone you, you are just the user's handle state that I cloned. And I need to deref first to get the user data. I need to be mutable. That gives me a reference? Set. Okay, so then I want to. You honestly don't know what you want anymore? I can understand that. I would probably choose either Vue or React. A lot of developers, including myself, really like Vue.js. So that's a VUE. Just something we really like. It is the least popular of all the front-end frameworks. And by popular, I mean the number of jobs available for it. It seems to have a pretty cult following. However, React is the strongest. Like if you want the largest number of jobs that would hire you, just go for React. It's like what, 90% right now? It's insane. And Angular 2+ is popular in enterprisey sort of environments. But I don't really I worked at one company that used Angular 2. I say that, but like Angular Next, whatever like we call a not Angular 1, and that we switched to React. Like it didn't last too long. Let's see. User. Okay, so we're gonna do user.username. We're now going to set you to be this changed username. Then we're going to now set you to be this user. Yeah, so I wanted to get access to you. So this deref is probably not correct. I need to get something from it. Because the set tells me, okay, it doesn't give me the other thing. Oh, do I need to implement clone on you? Oh, there we go. Okay, so now we have user data here, not a reference. Got it. Okay. So now the username should be set on this. To verify that that's exactly what I expect it to be. Let's do the front-end framework trick that everybody loves. We're gonna put in a div. And we're gonna say, I want to put in this specific thing. So we have our state here. So state dot username. I don't want to move you out. Okay, so now if I say, oh, okay, there we go. Click off and it shows up. So now I'm actually storing this inside of the use state. So I want to do the exact same thing with the password. Also, looking at this, this is a pretty nasty sort of like block of code that we're creating here. I'm wondering if I can break this out into a function right now. So if I do something like the Happy said, I was going to say this is hideous. Oh yeah. This is rather terrible. And I'm not exactly sure how to make this better. I sort of feel that we're gonna embark on is the coding equivalent of shoveling this all under a rug. Because I gotta do it somewhere. But I don't know how to make it actually better and not just like spread it apart. So You know how like if you have like you have a dirty pile in like the house, and if you take all the stuff and it's together in one pile, it's super obvious, it's horrible. But if I take things and I spread them apart, and I just have clutter every once in a while somewhere, it becomes less obvious. But I didn't do anything. I just moved it around so you don't see it all together in one place, and therefore it doesn't feel quite as bad. But it's still there. That's what we're about to do. Handle. Not that. So I'm gonna call this the handle username. We're gonna do this as the handle change username. Actually, you know what? I want to do this where it comes directly into here. So let's create a new function for this. Function handle change username. We're going to take in, I guess it'll be the state. So it will be the state. Which is this useState handle with user data inside of it. So I can just clone this state. Oh, maybe I can do it as a reference to it, then I can clone it inside of there. Okay. I don't know. This is handle state. What do I call it? Oh, use state handle. And then inside of that is going to be a user data. Just trying out Vue. Yeah, so we're I'm trying I'm learning Vue as like today it's specifically learning HTTP request of Vue. I'm gonna eventually create a course for like just basically introduction to Vue, and specifically also going from like JavaScript to like, hey, let's play with Rust. I'm gonna put that into YouTube later. And for right now, it's just sort of like going through and experimenting and seeing what can we do with this. Okay, so if I take in that state, obviously I also need to take in the username, which this is going to be a string. We can give ownership to that. We need to return some kind of callback, which what do you hold? I don't know. Is that the event? I will let the compiler tell me what it needs to be. And now I want to take you. I think it's just going to be this thing right here. So we're going to do you. And then I will return this. Okay, so I can have the state cloned when it comes into here, which means that I can just use that as this. So state and state. Okay, this is a callback with string inside. That's easy enough. I guess that makes sense because this coming in is the string. So that's what it cares about. Mod Prog, hello. I am doing good so far. How about you? How are you doing? Okay, so now handle change username. Oh wait, I don't need the username coming in. It's coming in here. What am I thinking? I just need the state. Now, all of you goes away. And we can now, in the handle change, we're going to do handle change username, and we're going to pass in state and clone it at this point. This should still set it, and we should still see it here. To make sure this actually recompiled, I'm going to put an extra colon in there. Hey, there it goes. Okay. So we swept it under the rug a little bit. Some of the nastiness is now in here. But this doesn't, we don't need to have all that sort of, well, crap up here now. Which means I can do the exact same thing to the password. Now, everything is the same except I'm updating the password instead of the username. Not exactly sure it's a good idea for me to try to programmatically make that different. So for right now, we're gonna make you exactly the same. Oh, and I'm not actually even doing anything with it yet. Just had a nice bike ride to the demonstration against the war. We were interested in... okay. Interesting, okay. And you're also doing REST backend and React web dev. Oh. Yeah, I haven't done React. I haven't actually built real React stuff in a long time. Oh, you're in Hamburg. And how are things going over there? Because I haven't heard much from that side. Just the news over, and I'm over here in America, right in the middle in Colorado. Okay, so I want to do this exact same thing here. So we do the prevent default. Oh wait, this is wrong. I grabbed the wrong thing. Grab you first. Then we do password. You are... Might as well just call you the password. State set. Okay, so you become that again. Yeah, I think so. We because of pandemic, we don't really leave the house very much. So I haven't had to get gas in a long time. But yeah, I haven't even been paying attention to it recently. And it's one of those things where like my country has to do like the most it can to not directly get involved, because if they did, it would be a very bad thing. So, yay for history repeating itself. Oh, gas for heating. Oh, yeah, I haven't gotten my gas bill since this entire thing started yet. I hope that it's not going to be too high, but yeah, we'll see. Okay, so you get you password. New password, save set. Hold on, what? So you're a string. Okay, closure may live out loud. Oh, you need to have a move here. Okay, so now we can do handle change password, which means this goes away now. Okay, so now there we go. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely true. I remember reading and like the most I have is like just access to news, which is sometimes questionable in how real it is, because even the big news agencies just sometimes just say things without actually verifying them. So a lot of the news I get is like, how I don't know how real it is. I remember reading that, what is it, like Germany said they're going to try to be completely renewable energy in like 1 or 2 years now. I would guess that a lot of Europe is gonna have to become more independent. Not Germany? Okay. I think that they said it was Germany, but I could also imagine that they're not it's not accurate. Oh, 5 to 10. Okay. I thought it was 5 to 10 before, and they just like increased it to an insane level. But also, as I mentioned, probably wrong. Ono Carnival, hello. All news are fake. Only I exist. All other people are product of my imagination. That's probably true. Like I actually do believe all of you are probably bots in this stream, and I just put on a camera and I just do a show for just nothing. Also, at the same time, I am fake, and everybody else is a bot that you're just watching. So we're all somehow fake and real at the same time. Figman, beep boop. Exactly. Okay. So I have that going on now. Now I want to do this handle form submit. I kind of like doing this in a function down here, so let's keep on going to this pattern. So handle form submit. We're gonna take in this state, which is gonna be this use state handle with user data inside. We're gonna return a callback that takes in, it's not a string, it was that event thing. What is it? It's a focus event. Okay, so right now all I'm doing is just logging out the event and this. Let's actually see if we can grab. Okay, so we have state there. Okay, so I want to now grab the actual full user, and I want to get a stringified version of it. So I guess this will be the stringified user equal to. I want like a dereference, then like a toString. It'll be like a JSON. I don't think that's right. Oh, that would be interesting. I think I want to use Serde JSON. toString. Okay, toString, And that's going to be the state. I want to dereference this like that to give me the user, this user data out. Let's unwrap you for reasons. And then let's log out this stringified user. Just sort of see what we got. Let's see. What's my pattern? Imports template methods. Oh, so I'm not sure it's exactly like that. I'm trying a more atomic component pattern. I don't know if that's exactly what you're asking. So I have view pages here. So this is just a login component page that is being loaded by the router. And then I have these other smaller components that are basically just Atom. They're just on their own, doing their own little thing. And let's see. I do have a store. It's called Bounce. So this, I'm not using it right now. We're using useState, but we're gonna come in and grab this out. I probably don't need this username password in it anymore. We're just gonna keep username and token. So I can just remove that. Also, this was a mistake that doesn't work, so we can ignore that too. Does that answer your question? I may have misunderstood it. What you like about Yew better than React is that / comments work in HTML block. Oh yeah, that is really nice. Comments are the worst part of HTML. Totally agree. They're just so weird in every framework that has HTML inside of the component, which means that they only work well in old Angular. Akmasi, hello, is Rust OOP, so object-oriented programming? It's interesting as an answer. So I would just say yes with a lot of caveats. It's object-oriented programming in the fact that you can create structs, very similar to classes. But then at that point, you could have Liskov substitution principle works with Rust. So I can basically pass different things that are different, but they look the same and they have the same contract. That works just fine in Rust. Dynamic dispatch works just fine in Rust. What we don't have though is inheritance. Inheritance isn't necessary for object-oriented programming, but almost every language that is OOP does that. So it's one of those things. So yeah, ModProp says no, but also not entirely no. Yeah, exactly. We can come from a yes, but not really, or a no, but also not really. Oh, you're asking about my single file components. Let's see, what was that? Imports template methods. So my single file components. Oh, I got it. Because this component is a multi-file component, like the button. So link wrapper, for example, here. We're also using functional components here. So we just see functional component. It has the styles built in right here. So sort of like view style. And then we have our HTML. And then just sort of JavaScript goes wherever we want because, Rust. Does that help? So yeah, it's basically imports, name of the component, then the component itself. But I don't have to import the methods separately because I just sort of import the component and it just, everything else happens auto-magically. Also, Farty, no, and goodbye. Pros and cons type thing, very interesting. Yeah, so if you can program an object-oriented and also avoid inheritance, you're going to be just fine. There's a couple situations with the borrow checker that you run into where the object-oriented sort of like mindset runs you into huge problems. Let me give a very specific example. Let's say we have 100 different objects in a... Well, actually, let's just go and do this thing that you see over there. So this is... imagine if they could eat each other. I want to say, okay, each one of these little guys, they could eat each other and then they grow. Okay, fine. So they're all a struct. They all have their own, like, is colliding with each other, is alive, is dead, and everything else. Like, they have the state and they have the method sort of embedded inside of them. Very object-oriented style. But now I need to store them somewhere, so I put them all into a single vector. Okay, still fine. Now I want everyone to check with every single other one. Are you colliding with me? And if you are, I need to do something about that. Now we're running into problems because I need to update the state, mutably update the state on myself and potentially my neighbor. This, like, if I made this where they can, like, eat each other, and then, like, take on the attributes of whoever they ate, huge problem now, because I can't mutably grab both of them at the same time. So what this actually is it's more data-driven design as opposed to object-oriented. So what that means is they're all stored in a vector of vectors and just individual component data raw with functions that sort of iterate through them to update them. That way, it's not like a single struct that just stores an entire entity. It's more of a lot of small little pieces of data that make up an entity. It's a lot more work, but it is easier in the long run, especially when the data gets more complicated, especially with Rust's borrow system and how that works. Awesome. Well, if you do learn it, I hope that you have a lot of fun with it. Let's see. Ashkante, have I ever used channels for communication between different components in a game type program? How's the performance on that? You've been racking your brain to come up with a way to update stuff across threads without the hit of Arc Mutex. I realized that Rust has channels for such a purpose. Yes, I have used it, but not in cross-thread applications. So I've mostly done GG Easy, which is not multi-threaded. I never actually really tried to do multi-threaded programming with it. So for example, back to this again, this is all single thread. Like, none of these are on their own threads doing their own things. It's basically just running as fast as it can within the 15 or 16 milliseconds that it gets per frame. That being said, channels can be used to great effect, and in fact, I think I used channels in this one. I've definitely used it in several different game environments. I don't know if it's this one specifically has it. I'd say it's perfectly fine. I usually use them as events type systems where almost like an observer pattern, where I pass the senders into the events, This is gonna, okay, hold on. I think this is gonna be complicated enough. I need to get a whiteboard. Oh, of course. Hold on. Give me a second. Every time, I swear, it forgets that I'm logged in. Vision. There you are. Close you off, and we are back. Let's see, which one should I find? I don't know, it doesn't really matter. We'll do a new one. Okay, so let's choose green for this. Should be able to see that. Okay, so channels for communication. So let's say we have a sort of like a file, which is, I guess it would be like a module or a system or something else like that. Just represent it right here. It's maybe doing, maybe this is our system for determining collisions. So like a collision. Whatever. Collion. And then maybe we have like some other ones over here. I'll just say like your A and your B. This can maybe generate events. And so we want, okay, you generate an event out, E, and then you pass in a little bit of like data with that. What sometimes it's just the event itself happening is all you really care about. Potentially with a collision, maybe you want to like increment the score because you just ate, Pac-Man just ate a ghost. You want to let that know happen. Like maybe it's a collision. Pac-Man ate something. Maybe it ate a ghost that's not blue. So now it Pac-Man dies. So that's an event. Maybe something over here would be like it displays the score out. So it needs to be aware of when these things happen, so it updates the score. Maybe this would be like reads the score, updates the score. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. So this one generates events. This one maybe is listening for events coming in. They're not exactly going to be the same thing because when you create the channel, you create a reader and a writer, but you can only have one reader and multiple writers are possible. So you can do the same event coming out like this. You can even have something like that. What I like to do, where did my, there we go. I like to, let's create another one. Create a event manager that all of these things go into. It stores the events, very similar to like an observer pattern type, like centralized system. So it stores the events. It stores the channels for everything. So this guy here says, hey, I want to subscribe to all of like these type of events, maybe, let's say. Now this collision sends something out. This event handler says, ooh, I know what that type of event is. I have an array of people, modules that are interested in this event. Let me loop through them really quickly and then send this, like clone this event and resend it on their channels. So I do like a one channel per for a system there. It works out pretty fine. I didn't really notice that it slowed me down too much, and it decoupled everything really nicely like channels would. For multi-threading, I don't know if that would work too well. I hope that this helps with the explanation. I think I sort of got lost in a little bit without like the coding side. You'll use them for GGZ game and report your findings. Okay, awesome. You're thinking about connecting UI elements with game logic stuff. Yeah, that can be really helpful. You saw that I used ECS to update UI components in the platformer, but you're curious to experiment with other methods. Channels sound perfect. Yeah, they kind of are. Also, a fun fact, I don't know if you've heard of them, but there is a Crossbeam crate. Crossbeam has channels that work pretty much exactly like the Rust, like sort of default core channels that you can get, except just better. I think this is what you want. Crossbeam channel. You can create multi-producer, multi-consumer channels. It's actually really nice. So I would play around with them if you're going to use them in your projects. Oh yes, I do use channels for that. So in that platformer, I definitely use channels for that one, and I haven't changed my mind about them. I still really like channels for that kind of communication. You just finished a text terminal layout engine with GGZ. You can push text with different fonts, sizes, and colors. Oh, that's nice. It caches what is rendered and invalidates if the terminal is resized. And it runs at just 13,000 frames per second on your machine. Yeah, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. The stuff that I've done, as you've noticed, is nowhere near that. But I've also not done any kind of caching system with it. So that seems pretty nice. Are you using the new version of GGZ? They started updating again after IceFoxen gave the project to a couple of people who are actively working on it, and they sounds like some pretty cool stuff. Yeah, okay, 0.6. I have not used that yet. All right, let's come back to here. All right, what am I doing? Handle form submit. So that's our next thing here. Handle form submit. So we do you. You're not happy. Okay, can I? Okay, so I can do that. Closure, may it live outlive you. Okay, we're gonna get a move in here. Always like funny whenever I do that. Oh yeah, absolutely. Anybody who has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. The teacher side of me loves doing that. Plus, also, it helps me learn and like make sure that I'm on top of my game, and you all can call me out if I say something just stupid and wrong. Okay. And else form submit. We're gonna log out the stringified user. That's what I care about. So form submit. I'm gonna put that right here. On the state, and then that means this goes away now. Now the only thing that I have in here is the useState where we are initializing it. potentially we can put that into a function as well. I mean, we did just sweep everything under the rug. It's now just over here, but they are in their own unique functions, which makes it have labels now. So no, don't do that. Makes it a little bit easier to sort of like reason about. All right, back to you. This happens an unfortunate amount of time. The first time it caught me, it was bad. I was doing all sorts of coding changes to try to fix this. Yeah, it turns out that you just need to create a new window and then you're fine. It's just in dev mode. I haven't had that happen in production mode. Okay, so now we have this string. Username. Okay. Now if I put in something with like a quotes. Yeah, so it successfully backslashes it. Okay, so that's good. So now that I have that, I want to now send the actual message back. So we're going to use request. I'm going to put it in right here right now because I haven't figured out a way to break this out yet. Maybe I can like pass in another state or something like that. I have to do it inside. There's another callback that I have to do. I don't need you. I think it must be one of the automated ones because I don't have it right here. Oh, login to server. Well, that's not exactly it either. So it's very similar to this. I need to do a special callback, but not one of these. I need to do a web. It might be the Wasm BindGen features crate. Spawn local, that's what it was. Spawn local, and then a feature. So this is now going to be an async move block. And then we essentially do this inside of it. So I could just call this function here. So login server, which means I think I can just do nope. Login to server like that. While passing the stringified user. You are now going to be a string because I've stringified this user. Okay, so we're going to get a response here. We're using a requasm response or requasm request. So post to our API. We pass in the body, so I don't need to do this anymore. Now we just say use user. We send it, we await the response, unwrap that, and then we just print this out. What you found annoying with Yew was the interaction with JavaScript with warranted a lot of unwraps. Yes, as you might notice, we're about to get into unwrap hell. It's like Promise Hell with JavaScript, except somehow worse. And the problem is like handling it manually sucks, because like 99% of the time it's gonna work just fine. Okay, so I have no errors, so you should work. When you happen, I just want this response to be logged out. So we're gonna put in that. Okay, so I got an internal server error, but here's our response back. Okay is false. Undefined bindings detected when compiling first. Undefined columns, username, query select star from users where username. I mean, clearly it's okay, as in it got to the server. Let's go ahead and take a look at. Okay, so here's my server. We got this 500 error. But I've got nothing else logged out from it. That's cool. Yeah, especially if you only support Firefox, Chrome, and New Safari, which, like, if I'm building this for all of you, I would expect that most of my viewers are gonna be on the latest browsers, and even if not like the latest, like latest enough. We generally, you're using let me guess, you're using like IE6, right? And you're like, you purposely put IE6 into in like you're setting like a VM just to be able to run IE6. Sounds about right? Yeah. Then you get like send those screenshots to me and it's like, your stuff doesn't work on my system. I don't know why. I'm using the latest browser. I mean, it's got the latest version. I tried updating, it didn't work. Okay, so you failed. I can switch this because this is a post. I can switch this from users to just that, and that will be a create user. See what happens then. Do the same one. Oh, okay. So issues. We need to go spelunking into our back end and figure out what is going on here. Why doesn't it have the salt information? It should have that. Okay. All right, so here we have our, let's just open up. I don't want to open up code there because I don't want to open up like a second window. So it comes in through app, goes into routes. It's possible I'm missing something in the environment. That seems unlikely though. Let's just here. We'll just code. We'll just create another window. Okay, so this is an Express and Node.js application. The entire sort of plan for this course series is I built it all in Vue.js and Node.js first, and then we're going to rebuild it in Rust. We're starting, the first part that's being rebuilt is the front end with Yew.rs. And then after that, we're going to choose one of the several really good backends and go from that. Tamaros, I don't have an update command, but I've been live for 1 hour and 41 minutes. So we need to figure out what's going on here. So go to routes, users. I am doing good. How are you doing? So here's our post to get this, and that console error was right here. That was that a 4? That was a 400. Okay. So we got this error message printed out. So somewhere in here, the try catch failed. We also got this message saying data and salt arguments required, letting me know that that's almost completely gonna be in. Let's see, user queries, create user. Come on, open up. Create user. Probably right. Probably one of these. Like we have our salt rounds. We're using bcrypt. We run this hash password function. Okay, so data and salt arguments required. Okay, so here's our data essentially. Salt rounds. One would think that it would work. Clearly not. I have a feeling that, oh, I changed it to node 14. I wonder if it's sort of like forgotten all this stuff. All right, let's try good old reboots. That always works, right? No, I need to do that. Look at the. That one. I have like the laptop. I have like another laptop where the camera is like perched on top of that, looking at me, but it's covering the like 1 inch on the right hand side of the monitor, so I can't actually see that. So that's like if you see me going like that's what I'm doing. Okay, so let's shut you all down. Let's rebuild this. We have to rebuild the images, I think. I don't know. I actually don't know if we have to rebuild the images full. Oh, I need to update the project description. It is now Yew.rs. I mean, it's generally the same project, but now we're using Yew.rs. So let's see. So I got that. We're gonna do a down. Then I want to cd into. Okay, we're gonna go into the back end, Node.js, Express. Okay, I want to remove RF. Okay, let's move the node modules and the package lock JSON. Okay, let's do this again. Okay, so you're gonna go up. Up, and then I think in here it's build. So I'm not getting rid of the volume that that has the database stuff. So that should be fine. That will make like the database a little bit faster. The Node.js, I think we switched from latest to 14, and that might be a problem here. So if any of you have not used Docker before, it is an amazing tool for like spinning up multiple parts of an entire application, especially with web development where you have like lots of little things working together. Oh, it is perfect for this. And I'm using Docker Compose specifically. All right, this is going to bring up the Vue JS one as well as the REST one, which I think the REST one is faster. And also, the Vue one is just Webpack is so noisy. Okay, here's you. It's done. Let's see if this works now. I'm still getting this. Okay, so that wasn't the problem. It's something else going on. Interesting that I say that. You're just looking for a different project into how to run a Python Django application in Docker. You're horrified by the information you find on the internet. And then also Timura. Sorry if I mispronounced your username. Can you say a little bit more about Docker? You didn't quite get it. Okay, so Docker is this really cool tool. You can think of it like a virtual machine in your computer. It is, for any of you who actually know Docker, are probably going to be screaming at your monitor telling me that I'm wrong and that's not it. If you're just starting out with it, that's probably the best place to start, though, is just imagining that it's a virtual computer inside of your computer. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes. Well, yeah. So that might just be them not knowing how to do Django properly. That being said, Docker makes it pretty easy for us to like build our own systems for this. So as a really, really, really quick sort of like how this works that I have going right now, I have this one. Here's my Express server. I have 2 VS Code windows up, but this is all under a single project root directory with like front end and back end. So this is the back end part, Node.js Express, So they're all sort of together code wise in the same repo. I have this Docker file which tells Docker when I run Docker, any of the Docker commands, what to do. So it's saying, I want this like virtual computer that runs Node.js version 14. That's defined the actual node project, I believe creates the Docker images for me. I don't have to create it myself. I'm just saying, starting from there, expose port 3000. I want a directory inside of this virtual computer called code. And then I want that to be my working directory. And then when I run this, run npm install and npm run dev. Pretty simple. Fun fact, it runs all of this as root, which is not a very good thing, but it's all my code too, so I am a little bit less worried about that. If you ever run somebody else's code, you need to do a lot more to protect yourself. Okay, you're familiar with Docker and Kubernetes. Nice. I am not familiar with Kubernetes. I have never used it. I've not had a reason to use it yet. You just wanted shortcuts. Yeah, that's the problem, is like, I find this true. A lot of the pre-made, like a lot of the images that other people make are not very good. I stick pretty much with either the ones that I've created myself or ones that from vendors that I trust, or the official ones. Okay, so this is the Docker file. Now I have one more, which of course I don't have access to in here because these are just the individual ones. So I'm gonna come back over here. So at the root of the project, I have this Docker compose file. And this is where it now says, okay, pull everything together. So when I ran that big Docker compose command that launched everything, that's where this is. Let's open this up. So let's see, it's all in YAML, which, for better or for worse. I'm not a fan of YAML, but I don't hate it to the point where I'm going to go figure out some other way to use it. Okay, so for example, I want a database to spin up. So I have the services database. It's going to use the image Postgres latest from Docker Hub, which is similar to GitHub for Docker. I want these volumes to be created, and one of the volumes is just copy this file over that I have into this specific spot in the Docker virtual machine once it's spinned up. Fun fact, if you put that there, it will automatically seed the database with all the cool stuff that I have in this file. So that's fun. Set some environment variables for this, so I don't have to have a .env if I don't want to. That's the database. Node.js Express, so that's our backend. So ignore the profiles for right now. It allows me to basically use this one file for a lot of different purposes. Build. Okay, so instead of an image, I want you to use that Docker file that previously I showed and build that as an image. Give it a volume. So basically saying, here, all the code that it has, now have you be in /code. It depends upon database, so wait until this is up and running before you even start. And then expose the ports, set the environment variables, and you're done. And then I have more of them. So the Rust U one is right here. Fun fact, all of my apps are listening to port 8080, but they're in their own containers, which means that I just say on my end, it's 8081, but inside it's 8080, which is it's pretty cool. Kubernetes is great, but the complexity and the configuration being done in YAML is a bit of a turn off to start. I can imagine that. As I mentioned, I haven't had a reason to use Kubernetes yet, and I don't want to try to force it because Kubernetes is just too big of a beast to really, I think, really do that well. How are .yaml and Docker related? Are you using YAML inside of Docker? Oh, no. So Docker is a program written by Docker. Behind the scenes, it's a bunch of like Go and Python scripts that are just running like commands against like basically run commands and doing like a bunch of stuff, you know, for me. When I run the command, when I run this command to start the entire thing, Docker compose, I then say, okay, use this profile and then go up. It then in turn reads the Docker compose YAML file, and then it gets configured based upon what all the stuff that I have done, and then does it. That's it. That's the relationship between the YAML file and Docker. You don't actually need the YAML file if you don't want to. If you want to just do stuff with Docker on your own, you can. So for example, if I wanted to just spin up something with Rust and like play around with it, I can do Docker run. I'm going to do --rm so it deletes itself. This container will delete itself as soon as I'm done creating it, or as soon as I'm done using it. I want to interactively manipulate it, so -it. Let's see. I don't need anything else. I could like attach a volume to it and all that stuff. Let's just go into it. We're gonna do the Rust crate. The latest version of Rust is fine, and I want to override the normal command, so it's bin bash. And now it launched a virtual machine, sort of the lie, and I'm inside of it. If I do an ls, this is a completely different Linux system than what I was up here. Now, if I take a look, I have Rust up. Rust is all installed for me. Everything I need to start doing Rust programming is inside of here. And as soon as I exit out, it deletes this Rust thing, the Rust container, and it's gone for good. Hopefully I didn't create anything in there that I need stored, because otherwise they'd be, deleted. So yes, Docker is really cool. I really like it. Let's see. RC exploit, hello. Let's see. Async is fun. Just had a giant deadlock. Oh yeah. Async, especially with multiple threads, is going to be very interesting. I've done the bare minimum to be able to say that I've not done enough to know it. Let's see. Untruly Denton, Rust is on the rise. Why? I think there's a couple reasons why Rust might be considered on the rise. Rust is been getting a lot of news recently from some of the big companies like Microsoft. Basically, they did that big study where they discovered that 98% of bugs were caused by memory problems, and that using a memory-safe language, which then they, in the article, directly named Rust as a language that would be an example of one that would prevent those errors from happening. And then they hired a bunch of Rust devs and are supposedly rewriting a huge number of their libraries from C++ to Rust. That's a huge thing that could cause it to go onto the rise. Google and Amazon have both hired a lot of Rust devs and are using it for some purposes, which I'm not sure anybody can really accurately say exactly what it is, but it probably has to do with their cloud platforms. I think those are the big reasons why it's on the rise. Now, Is it going to stay on the rise? I don't know. We're going to find out. Can I give a general overview of what Rust is? Yeah. So Rust is a generic programming language. When I say generic programming language, I mean that it's not specialized in that it has a specific job that it's been created to do. Meaning that it can do anything. Like anything that you want to program in, you can do it. Can it be more painful in some situations? Yes. Just like Python is really great for some situations and not for others, but that wouldn't stop you from being able to do it in all situations. It was developed by Mozilla, as a language to help them recreate Firefox, and fix some of their memory problems that they were having. And then also be just as fast. So basically, scenario. They have this browser, Firefox. They want it to be faster. It's slow right now. It's written in C++, and they have security holes in it. And they want to be known as a company that doesn't have giant security holes in their browser. Like, kind of an important thing. So they invented a new language to help them do that. This language, Rust, was made to replace C++ piecemeal, meaning that you could take little pieces of your C++ application and drop in Rust pieces to it, and doesn't have to be a one and done. You wait until it's all over and then you're good to go. I don't think they really expected Rust to get super big outside of Mozilla, but it did. And Rust has now since then become its own thing. It's no longer associated officially with Mozilla. It has a foundation. It is open source. Let's see. It's got a lot of corporations on its foundation, I guess. And I don't think they have a board of directors. For better or for worse. Firefox did use it to create Firefox Quantum, which if you use like Firefox recently, its speed increases are indeed due to it using Rust very well. Google Chrome is made up of a combination of, correct me if I'm wrong, if any of you know, but from what I've heard, it's a combination of like Dart, JavaScript, and C++ with the heavy amount of C++. Like the Chrome engine compiles on the fly to C++ to execute the code. So Node.js is essentially uses the Chrome engine behind the scenes, and there's a lot of C++ fun stuff going on. So anyways, I hope that answers of like what Rust is. It's basically just a language that you can do anything with, even web development, as we're sort of like proving here. And it's kind of its own thing. The big thing, and I guess I didn't even mention like the big claim to fame with it, which is it claims to have this memory safety stuff going on, where you cannot access memory that you're not supposed to access, which is not true. When you dive deep enough into it, it's just sort of like one of those little lies where, okay, if you do it right, you won't ever do that. Rust has this unsafe thing where it wants to allow you to connect into other languages, specifically C-based languages, and sort of manipulate and work with them. That's part of the entire replacing it piece by piece. Since you can access, since those languages don't have memory safety, they have to then allow you to basically, we need to like allow those things to do its stuff, and we won't check it or like be that. We just can't guarantee their safety, so we're gonna throw that into like an unsafe block and deal with that later. That could cause memory problems. the other things are, and we've done this on stream when we were playing around with some of the Rust stuff. We initialized a piece of memory in Rust. We then told it that it was bigger than it really was, and then accessed garbage memory, and it didn't crash the system. We just sort of printed that out to the screen. So it's very possible to like still access garbage stuff in Rust. But the big difference, Rust requires you, and anything that could possibly do that, to wrap it in an unsafe tag. So I can actually show you what that looks like. In Rust, if I want to make like this function unsafe, I could use the unsafe keyword. Now, anybody who does like a code review of this, just seeing that word should be a giant red alarm bell. Like, okay, I need to bring my A game when reviewing this code. I need to make sure it's actually good. Now this one's not actually unsafe, but Rust is still gonna run this just fine. Is it actually? Oh no, look at this. So because I put unsafe here, now Rust is saying, hey, this function is unsafe. Therefore, it's illegal for you to use. So now I need to like put this entire thing in an unsafe block down here, maybe. This fully works. And is perfectly legal. Everything is still working, I believe. Yep, everything still works as normal. I just told Rust, hey, I may be doing something not quite so memory safe inside of here. Now it doesn't turn off any of the rules. Like it's still going to yell at me if I do something. Like I can't, this doesn't turn off the borrow checker for that. But what it does do is it allows me to do things that would be memory unsafe inside of this block with the explicit promise. Like I am saying, I understand that this is unsafe as a developer, and I am being safe. I am doing the best I can to be safe, and anybody else can now understand that there is unsafeness happening here too. That's the claim to fame of what like Rust really brings to the table. And there's a bunch of other stuff behind the scenes that happens when you compile something. You might hear people complain about how slow Rust is. This is why. Rust does a lot of checking behind the scenes to make sure that things are good. And if they're not, it tells you at compile time. That unfortunately takes more time for it to compile. All right. There's a lot more, but that's probably enough for right now. Let's see. What were we doing? Oh, right. We need to figure out why are you telling me that we're missing a hash and data? It seems a little bit odd. So what I'm going to do is this, and we come back and do, nope, that's the front end. In users here, I'm wondering, am I actually getting the username and password? So let's do a console log. Username and the password. That might be the reason that Google Chrome is faster than Mozilla. You know, it's really interesting because these days, Google Chrome and Mozilla, let's specifically say Firefox, I would say are pretty much at the same level. Mostly because Mozilla came out with Quantums, they sped themselves up, and I think Chrome has slowed down over the years. And then specifically, I'm using here this browser. You'll notice that it's the blue Firefox. This is Firefox Dev Edition. It's literally the same Firefox with a few extra dev tools to make things a little bit nicer. And then it's like a beta Firefox. So like one feature, one version that hasn't deployed yet. I like it a lot. You can also do nightly edition, which is of course the nightly update version. That one's a really nice purple Firefox. Okay, what am I doing? I am writing out the console. Okay, so username, password. I want to see this in here. Okay, I do have it auto relaunching the server. So I want to see when I resend this. Well, that is a thing. Undefined is indeed a problem, isn't that? Okay, so what's going on here? Not you. I'm sending this body. Oh, I think I know what the problem is. I need to tell it that it's JSON. So before I send it, let's create a header. Our header is content type application JSON. Let's see if that works any better. There we go. Now if we come back this, we see the username and password come in, and now, okay, I already have that username. So I want to switch you back to login again. I don't have a work command. What were you expecting from a work command? Like, what would I put in it if I created it? Okay, now I get a 200 back and I get that token. So I'm using a JOT token for our authentication with this API. If we come back to the console, we just have this response. On this, like, I'm never super happy on like the front end with fetch, but that's exactly what this is. Oh, what is my job? Okay. During the day, my day job is, I guess like during the weekdays. I don't work on weekends. Oh, interesting. Okay, I can do something like that. So I am a managing team lead for the web services department. Sounds like maybe a little bit nicer than it is because there's only one of us on the team right now. So I have a designer in the team who's also a web developer. He's currently loaned off to another team, helping them out with some design stuff. He gets to work with a lot of virtual reality things right now, which is kind of jealous of that. I also work with my CTO a lot. He actually helped build a bunch of this stuff. So he comes in a little bit. So I joke that I'm his boss and he's my boss. I usually say that right before I reprimand him for like trying to claim that a ticket is done when it hasn't actually been deployed. Let's see. But basically, I'm a manager. So I do management stuff. I am also a programmer. I do a lot, like, I'm considered a senior dev. I am doing a lot of architecture for that. It's a startup. There's not too many people there, so a lot of hats. And then the company itself, like what we build, is virtual reality training software. So imagine if you were to have a heart attack problem inside of a hospital, or even just EMS, the people who help you, nurses and doctors, need to be trained to continue to be able to be competent at those jobs. Just like remembering it once from school 20 years later is not going to cut it. So every year they need to have recertifications, retraining, and we are one of the methods to do it. We do it all in virtual reality. Just yesterday, I successfully saved, it was OBHEM was the app that I took. I guess it wasn't yesterday, it was Friday. Sort of like I need to go in and like try them out because they send the data to our servers. And of course I have the help menu up so I can actually see exactly what you're supposed to do. So it's not really that impressive that I can now save people in a hospital setting, but I am happy that doctors actually do that kind of training because I want them to be as good as they can when I have a problem someday. So that's what I do. I need to figure out how to condense that down into like 2 sentences. Then I can create that work one. That sounds nicer than it is because it is, yeah. Okay, so we have our headers, we have this stuff here. Okay, so I do this response as raw. So I now want to extract the body out. And the thing, there's a thing here that body used, false. This is like part of the fetch API. Fetch API, I am not a, I think I mentioned this before, like 2 minutes ago. I am not a fan. I can only access the body once. Also, the body isn't available to me. I have to do something to get the body. So what I'm gonna do is let body equals response dot, I think it's JSON. Convert it into JSON. I'm going to await unwrap. But you need to type, don't you? Okay, so you need to type. So we have this struct user data. It's going to come back with an ID. Okay, so I need something else. I'm going to derive. Oh, nope, not that. I'm going to derive serialize, deserialize. Struct. I guess this will be like user data response. I am 40. There should be a more or less save rest abstraction layer around the browser APIs that takes reasonable assumptions about the browser. Yeah. Well, I'm really happy with glue. Like this log with glue, oh, super nice. Love it. Okay. User data response. So, looking at this, we're gonna get, oh, I almost forgot about this. We have this, okay, it's multiple objects. It's a data object, and then inside of that, we're gonna have an ID, username, and token. So this is gonna be great. So we have an ID, which is, let's just say U32, username, which is gonna be a string, and a token, which is gonna be a string. And of course, we have Okay, this is going to be just an API response, which is going to have a data, then has a user data response. You are going to be this API response. Now okay, because this object doesn't know how to turn into this thing, but what I can do is I can convert this back into a string to sort of like take a look at it. So we can do the, I don't think I can use JSON like this to throw in just any objects. We're going to use cert.json toString. Ooh, toString, pretty. I don't know if that's going to work with this log. And I'm going to throw in the body, the reference to the body like this. Oh, and that's a result. Okay. Let's see if we get our stuff. And here we go. So I have our data, the ID, the username, and the token. Okay, perfect. So now I have this entire thing with like the data. The end result here is I want to store this away. I want to throw this into bounce here so that I get the username and the token in here. Can I return this API response? So can I return the user data response, let's say? So I'm going to return body.data. Okay, so then I can, but now I need this to be an async block that you do stuff in. So let user equals this, and then we have to await you. Okay, so now I have the user data response here. I don't think I can return it out of this block. We're stuck inside of here. I have state. Now I need bounce. Okay. Let user store equal to a use atom. Sort of balance user. Okay, user, exactly like that. Okay, so it's gonna be this use atom handle user. So user store, it's gonna be use atom handle user. I want to do a move. So it's async move And I think this is going to be the exact same thing as use state. I clone out the user object, and then I set it. Oh no, I think I can just set it at that point in time. User store dot set that specific user. Okay, so name is going to be user dot username. I don't think you need to be options. Like if I have you, you're there. Okay. Expected a closure that implements the FN trait, but this closure only implements FN once. Really? Closure is FN once because it moves the variable user store out of its environment. So user store got moved out of the environment. Every time I use it, I'm going to clone it, but maybe it doesn't know that I'm going to do that. Can I clone this again, or could I clone this in here? No, because it's not going to care about this. I could also, before this happens, I can do a let can't imagine this is gonna help. This is gonna be the exact same problem because it doesn't really matter. It's still gonna be an FN once. Oh, wait, do I need to clone it up here? Hold on. Do I need to clone you here? Maybe. I still have 2 errors, so that might not be anything at all. Okay, so you take now this user store. And let's clone you. Oh, the clones here are pretty much for free because I believe behind the scenes they're RCs and ref cells. Or something. Something maybe even thread safe. It's hard to tell. Okay. Now, user store, I can do the exact same thing here. And then you're going to be a reference to user store dot token. Oh, panicked at an unwrap call on an error value. So we got a JS error. Network error when attempting to fetch resource. Do I have... I don't see any errors logged out from the server. Let's try this again. It's like 5 or 10 seconds. It's not long enough to be a full timeout, but it failed on the option call. Failed on the option call. Okay, so what happened here? Let's undo the bounce thing that we're doing. So log in the server. I do this, and I return the body.data, and that's going to come up here to the form. Okay, so I want you right now just to log. I want to log the JSON Serde user. Let's see, the trait bound is not satisfied. Wait a second. Okay, so you're logging the server, you return this user data response. That does implement serialize. That should be fine. Okay, I want to put you on here first. I'm gonna put okay, convert from a result. Ooh, okay. Wait a second. Are you not what? Am I getting a real error message here? You're telling me that's an API response. I'm unwrapping. Oh, wait, this one. I have to unwrap here. Unwrap here. Got it. Okay, it's the Serde 2JSON thing I have to unwrap. Never mind. Never mind. Godwoa, hello. Unwrap. Okay, so I want to see that this user that we got back is actually something. The thing over there, yes, that is a Boyd simulation that we built last year with Rust and GGEZ. Okay, so let's see if we get this. It's not even sending the network request out. It starts with a login right here with fetch. And then fails cores. We can see. Okay, so we are going to localhost 3000 API. Okay, so we're going there. This all seems fine. No payload though. That's a problem. I didn't send this stuff? Okay, so our body is user. Okay, let's try just like doing a good old-fashioned JavaScript debugging here. We're gonna just keep on doing logs because now we're in weird asynchronous like runtime bugs as opposed to something that compiles. It all compiles. The compiler thinks that we're fine. So here's our logging in to server, and let's see if we can see what that is. Did I do any optimization for this? The only optimization that I believe I have in here is I'm using an ECS system for it. I'm not doing any quadtree or spatial hashing or anything else like that. Just pretty much standard ECS entity component system for those of you who don't know what that is. Sort of like keep the data organized in a nice way. And that is a custom ECS system too. Let's see. Okay, so we're gonna log this here. Let's see if this works. Okay, log in the server and we see the object going out. Okay, that's good. Okay, so you get to here. Then we send this post request. So body, set the body, set the header, send, await, unwrap. You get this response back, and then we do this thing to it. I think that's our problem. Do I still have this console login here? I do. Okay, so that just restarted the server. Let's just see if that had anything. No, it's not doing anything. It's still gonna have the same error. Jagger, it's nice you saw Ben Eater's video on Boids but never got to play with them yourself. Oh, they're really fun because you get to do collision detection type stuff. You get basically do everything, but because they can't kill each other or die, you don't have. It's like only half of like what you need to do for complexity with game dev, which is actually really nice. And everything's on one screen too, so you don't have to have like a camera that like moves around with them. It's I would say like it's a nice introductory but still not super beginner project. Okay, why are you now yelling at me about cross origin? Everything was fine before. And if we take a look, I am telling it that cores is perfectly fine. But wait a second. Wait a second. I have Morgan set up. Morgan is a logging tool. That should tell me if there was a request to the back end. And if it failed due to, let's say, refusing the request because of cross origin, it should get here. So this is actually being blocked at the browser level. So Mozilla is refusing to send this at all. Like, it's not being sent to the server in any way whatsoever. So just to make sure it's not something weird like going on in here, let's try a different tab. Okay, it wasn't that. Am I running into some weird like asynchronous problem where I am... Wait, this is Express. This one. Where I am trying to do this before it gets back. Okay, you're in async here, so you should be fine. Okay, let's not do this. Let's undo a little bit. Okay, so we're doing... We get our user back out of here, so I don't need this move either. Let's just try this. So cores is interesting. Oh, how does Yew work? It'll be a nice change of pace from this. So Yew is a front-end framework for Rust. It basically, I write these components here. Let's go to one that's not quite so complicated. So I have this component called text input wrapper. This is a functional component. You can also make them structs, sort of like class components in React. This is the component itself. I basically say, okay, here's this function. It takes in properties, which I define here. It's going to return some HTML, which is then written in here using an HTML macro, which is really nice. It's like JSX in Rust. I also using a library called Stylist that allows me to create scoped styles for each component, which then I throw into here as well. So I can have these styles and the HTML inside of the component. And then these are functional components, which means that if I want to, I can also use like use effect, use state, use whatever. All those hooks that like you're familiar with React also exist here in Yew too. Let's see. For using them, if we go back to, let's go to home again. Here's like a bunch of components, and then these are all just the properties that I've defined on those components, and so passing them in. That's pretty much it. There's a router that we can set up and use. I'm using something called bounce for state handling, which basically I bring in this atom, I create the store object, and it's pretty simple. I can use this. Let's see, where is it? up here, I use the use atom hook that is provided to me by Bounce. So it's not something normally in Yew. It's a custom hook. And that gives me this store, which is exactly like use state. And then I can grab and use it. How expensive is WebAssembly at DOM mutation call? You know, I don't know how to answer that because I don't know how to get that that information yet. I would imagine that eventually there'll be some good tooling where I can like find out how long something is taking to run. Right now in debug mode, meaning that these are going to be pretty heavy. My WASM is 5.1 megabytes. Oh, that is huge. That should be significantly smaller when I go to release mode, but still, like, from what I understand, WebAssembly is still pretty expensive right now. Silly Queen X, hello. Have I tried Tori? Isn't Tori the that's the thing where you can create desktop applications with Rust, right? That's about a. Yep. Okay. I have not used it. Is it still active? I thought it was dropped. Ooh, updated 6 days ago. Okay, is it back? For some reason... No... Okay. Yeah, for some reason I thought that Tori had been abandoned, but I guess it is back. All right, that's pretty nice. I have not tried it. I was sort of avoiding it because I thought it was, you know, dead. But now... Stable release on all platforms. Okay, that looks pretty good. That looks like something we should check out sometime. It's a bit on the slower side compared to Firefox and Chrome. Okay. I could see that. Like Firefox and Chrome are very like they're very optimized for what they do. But it might be okay. So like end users oftentimes are usually okay with a little bit of slow applications as long as it's fast enough and doesn't get in their way too much. So this might be good to check out sometime. It uses WebKit behind the scenes. Okay. And are they cross let's see. Major desktop applications. So I'll assume that means like Mac, Windows, and Linux. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything saying like they can't do anything. And eventually a mobile system? Ooh, that could be really fun. Yeah, we'll have to try it out sometime and see what we can do with it. Especially if we try to like compare it to what's the one that the one that's like VS Code is based on. It's Electron. Yes, that's it. Electron. So is it like Electron but with Node.js replaced with Rust? I think so. This website is certainly making it look like that's exactly what it is. Basically, it's build desktop applications with Rust. Okay, and then we have all of these different things to set up with that. Okay, nice. Nice, nice. In the meantime, we're still trying to figure out this fun thing. So, what have we learned? We're getting this, so we actually have the body. That's fine. So the body is fine. Which is right here. Then we do this response, and we started having problems after we said, hey, we're going to return something. So let me take off returning something, because maybe that's our problem. So let's, once again, log. Okay, so let's unwrap you there, and then down here, we're not going to take you in anymore. Now the big difference also is I had, okay, let's put it exactly back the way we had it before, which is you're closed. We didn't have any brackets on there. We did something like this. We just passed in a call to the async function inside of here, and you are a log macro. So login line 69. So this, okay, this unwrap right here. So send, await unwrap. And you did not receive anything. Let's try telling Node.js Express to reboot. So that should cause it to restart. Okay, so it's up and running now. It's not working. Okay, so you're still dead. Our network is still showing that it's just not doing anything, not getting anywhere. We haven't made any major changes to the Express side. This is the worst part about web dev. And it's especially worse when we're using some other language like this, because none of my debugging tools are really useful. I have like some, like somewhere inside of here is where the problem is. So let's see, we're doing a post to you, and we haven't changed you. It was working. So what did I do differently? What did I break? Handle form submit. We take you off. I unfortunately was not practicing proper behavior, and I did not commit before we tried adding more stuff on. So now that's fun. Let's see. Was there another move that I had in there somewhere? User state. Okay, so that gets moved in here. That's fine. Okay, then we spawn local and we do that thing. You're an async function. I got rid of that. Wait, I got rid of the... I did. Smaforf. Still doing off. I know! It's like, why is it taking so long? I broke it, unfortunately. When I was trying to like bring out and get the body and store it into the store. So we're gonna send a post to here. Content type application JSON. We already verified that the string is exactly what we expect it to be. We send and await, and then we unwrap, and then that's where we have a big giant error. So this unwrap has been what's been killing us. With a network error. A network error. Yeah, that's a good idea. Oh, yeah. So when I try to run this, and I hit you, it's going from my browser and it's supposed to send a message to our back end. But as we can see here, we get this problem. So we get some cross origin, stupid stuff. And then panicked at called the result unwrap on network error when attempting to fetch resource. But I really like that idea, Godwell. Let's do this with a fetch. So I think we can do... I always use var whenever I'm doing stuff in a console here, so I don't have to constantly refresh to like reuse variables. So let's do result equals... I constantly forget how to do this. It's not like fetch.post. It's like fetch. URL. Localhost 3000. Users login. Is it like body? MDN's my friend. Yeah, I know. MDN fetch. MDN's fetch is not the best. Okay, fetch resource. Give me... Just to see that you get the whole picture, this is Rust code running in a browser as Wasm. Yes, that's exactly what's happening. So we're using the Yew front-end framework in Rust. It's compiling, sending all of that stuff up as Wasm, CSS, I guess a little tiny bit of JavaScript, and HTML. Ooh, I can copy as fetch from network tab. Ooh. Use as fetch in console. Okay. Await fetch goes to localhost 3000 in your login. Credentials emit. Headers. Okay. Accept ***. Accept language. Content type. Application JSON. Empty. Okay. Then I need. Oh, no. Okay. Story away. So var result equals this. Okay. That's a good point. I probably should have. It's interesting. Where is the body? We have headers, we have credentials, refer method, and mode. Come on, I want. Okay, so body. This needs to be a JSON stringify, so we're gonna do JSON stringify username of Brooks, password of yeah, mode core is a little bit interesting. But we had it working. Right, and we see that it's sending the option's failing. Which is interesting. Now, if I take out the mode, the option starts, and then it fails. Oh, the option request fails because of a code error. Let's see. What changes have I made back here? All stuff in Yew, front end. So no changes to my server have been made. Use ThunderClan again. Let's try this out. So I want to do post to login. We have a content type. So this is working. this is working here. Check to make sure that I'm not listening to an option request by accident in my controller. Yeah, let's take a look at that. So in my app, yeah, Postman and friends do not send that out. That's true. Okay, so here's my server here. This is an Express, so it's Node.js for those of you who are familiar. We extract out the body. We set up cores. It's using cores like this, so any origin is allowed. We log out the attempt, and then we go into users. If I go into, even if I like take out the tasks, and we only have users available, we're listening for post. On all, we're doing authenticate, but only on logout. Login, we're doing a post, and no options. That should work. Okay, so the backend restarted. I want to set up Morgan to log out the option requests. And can I get it to do that? Morgan npm log option requests. Oh, the cores middleware is right here, line 13. So I'm pulling in the cores crate and then setting up the middleware right there. Before I attempt to have the route going. Could move that up. Dev might be good. Let's okay, so let's do this one really quickly again. Okay, so there is that post. Let's come back to here. Ah, nothing. Okay, so it didn't get there. Just to be sure, you put origin star. Here's another test that we can do. So here is one that I created in Vue.js for a front end. See how this is going. Ah, okay, so there is a problem with that. Okay. Yes. So cores, we need to tell you. Let's go take a look at the documentation for cores. I can do. I wonder if I need to move cores up, like up there. No, that didn't do it. Might be that it expects even the options request to have auth headers. For the login route, seems a little bit interesting. So the only route inside of here that requires authentication here, we can just take this out. So we have create, we have login, and that's it. Those are the only ones that we have, and none of them require any kind of headers, auth headers. Yeah, so it's exactly the same thing with the network error and everything. So this isn't a Yew problem. This is a connection to the backend problem. Did I? Okay. Let's try, not this one. Try taking down, and let's do a fold down. Use the HTTP client and VS Code to upload an options request to the login URL so you can get the whole message. Oh yeah, we can do that. Let me pull it back up again. Make sure it's not something just with the, that needs to be, like everything needs to be rebooted. So. Okay, server listening. So if I hit you again, you're like that. Let's go and options to this route. Empty body. Don't know what headers I want to send. Probably not that. No content, 204. Which I think is okay. Come back to here. Okay, okay. Now it works. I think I needed to take down Docker Compose and bring it back up. It all works now. Yay. Oh, web dev. Yeah. Okay. So now, in here, before we forget, okay, so we, getting the request to send, out. All right, committed, so I can now go back to that if I really want to. Lesson learned. Let's go back into login, and I just want to store this into bounce. So we have our user store in here. I want to now pass that inside of here. So user store, and we're going to clone it. Down here, we're going to now display the token from the user store. Okay, great, perfect. Down here, we're going to take in user store, which was this use atom handle with the user store inside, or at least the type. This becomes a move here. Okay, so now I want to grab this back. So let user response equals having a health check defined in your Docker file can help prevent this for some of the time. I'm not sure exactly how to do the health check because as we saw, the request without the options was working just fine. So what would I have Docker do the health check? What would be the health check for it? Do a CORS option? Oh, well, yeah. Yeah. I need to learn how to do that. I don't think I've ever used health checks for Docker stuff because I don't usually deploy. I don't usually have Docker deployed in production. So now we're going to switch this. Wait, no, this is the... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Okay, so... Okay, this one I do want. The one features. Okay, so let... this is going to be the result. User equals this. No, I can't do that because I can't return anything. This is where now we're going to do an async and a move. Throw you in there. You become an await. And we do let result equals this. Okay. Log in the server, closed. I'm missing that, I think. Okay. Now log in the server is going to return back. So we unwrap. Okay, now you're going to return back the user data response. Okay, so we return that. Yeah, no, I totally understand. Very, very nice to have that health check there. Probably would have helped a lot. I just need to learn how to do that. Like, I also need to learn how to properly send the option request manually. Okay, so then we get this result here, and it's been a while, so let's do a log. I want to log out the JSON Serde string that. I just want to see that happen. You're upset. Right. Unwrap. Okay, I still want to see a log happen at this point in time. It did indeed. Okay. So next up, I want to then take this user store and I want to set it. So we need to clone you. And we need to do that here. So we're going to do let user store equals user store.clone. Then we want to clone you again to get this out. So let user equals user store dot bref clone. Make this mutable. Actually, I guess I don't need to do this. We're just gonna set it. Never mind. I don't need to do that. I just need to do a user store dot set. We're gonna do user. Okay, username is now gonna be result dot username. Token is gonna be result dot token, and that's all I care about. No errors. One tip is to right-click Network Pressed on the DevTools and go copy as. Oh yeah, because then it probably has all the stuff in it, so I can figure out how to actually do it properly. Oh, and I can copy it as a curl too, and then paste it into Postman as raw text. Oh man, I haven't really done too many of those like advanced debugging stuff, because usually I just catch it before it gets this far. But going with Rust, I don't have as many of those tools available to me, so I'm gonna have to use these. All right, so let's see. And now the token is stored inside of the state. So let's recap exactly what we did here. So our component here, this is a full page component. We have a form that has just a username and a password. Every time when they're changed, we're storing that information, so like the username itself, the password itself, inside of the state of this function component. We're using the useState hook for that. It's exactly the same as the useState from React. Then when the entire form is submitted, we run the handle form submit callback function. When that happens, it prevents default, so it prevents the page from being reloaded. It then extracts the username and password and converts it into just a JSON string. So, username, password, quotes around everything, just stringified JSON. I clone the Atom store so that this is the bounce actual like full-on Redux style store is cloned. It's a ref. I think it's an RC ref, so it's no problem whatsoever to do that. I then set up a Wasm bindgen futures spawn local. So it's kind of like spawning another thread, but it's not, because we notice it's just an async block in here. So we tell you, go ahead and asynchronously run this thing. Yes, that's a little bit odd, but go ahead and run this block. We're going to use the async and move because we need to pass in the user store to be able to set things. inside of here, we do the main thing. Tell it to log into server and get back the result. That function is up here. It's an async function. Notice I didn't have to bring in like a Tokyo or any kind of other async runtime. It's being handled for us behind the scenes by the framework. It's going to return this user data response struct, which we create right here, which is going to have the ID, the username, and the token. Basically, this is most of what we get back from the database. The true thing that we get back also includes a data on the front end, a data at the root level. So, response. We use request, which is a struct from requasm library. Send a post to here. Give it this body, which is that stringified user that we saw before. Set the headers to content type application JSON. If we did not do that, it doesn't work because I can't actually find what we're trying to send in. Send it off. Wait for that to come back and unwrap the result. If there's a network error because the server just stopped working for some reason, then it will fail here with a, network error. Take that response, and we need to turn it back into, I guess it's not really JSON. It gets a little bit interesting here. This is like the fetch API in JavaScript. So we run the JSON object here, or the JSON function here, and that is going to turn it into a Rust object. So we're not really turning it into JSON, we're turning it into a Rust struct. Type we know is going to be this API response. If it's not, it's going to crash. We just get that, and I return the data inside of it. So this user data response. Back down to here. We get this result. I then tell the bounce store, so this is the Redux style store, hey, I want to set you to be a brand new user, and we're just going to set the username and the token. And that goes off to here where the store is defined. Okay, back to login. Down here at the bottom, we have username and password are just looking at the local state, but the token here is looking at user store, which is the bounce store. And so when that changes, it triggers this entire component to be refreshed and says, hey, you're using state, like this state, time for you to refresh, reloads this specific component, and now the store has the token, and so it goes from user store : nothing to token something. And that's it. We're able to get that done, and while it's not great because there's tons of unwraps everywhere because reasons, it at least doesn't look horrible. That being said, the component style of like hiding away all of this fun stuff so we don't have to pay attention to it is probably pretty important for us. So future streams, you have to figure out what the next stuff is, because what we just did is we just figured out sending HTTP requests. So we've got that done. Other things that, let's see, just creating normal things. I don't think we already know how to do that. Select a form. Okay, select form field. All this is just like normal HTML, CSS. That's easy to do in Yew. The navbar stuff was like, that's where the HTTP request comes in. And then the views, like the actual like views of where everything comes in, I think that should be good too. If we look at the Vue version of this. Oh, you know what I need to do? It kind of would be good to turn all of these back on again. Probably a little bit helpful. So we have log in and log out. We can do that, no problem. Add a task is really just like this form doing this. This is not going to be really that big of a problem. So like creating another form and sending data back, that saves to the database. Oh, but we're not doing backend stuff yet. We're just doing front end, so that's gonna be fine. Getting the tasks and displaying them, that should also be fine. We have Surday to help us out with that. Displaying them all. The checkboxes are interesting. Doing requests at those times. Yeah, I think that is pretty much all of the sort of like the learning that we need to do before we can start figuring out the individual pieces of the course that we're going to build, and then recording. So I think tomorrow I'm going to start planning out what like the actual course videos are going to be, and breaking this out and like maybe even making it a little bit nicer to see and use. And then after several streams of doing that, probably we'll get to start actually recording those videos. And then in the end, this entire course is going to go up on YouTube for free. It's going to be an introduction to Yew. So as you can see, I'm not really going to go any much deeper than what I've gone today. Today's stuff with the like HTTP probably going to be the most complex part of the course. So we'll see how I'm going to be able to explain that in a way that's much better than what I just did for all of you. Let's see. Anything else? I don't know. I think that's it. It is 12:30. It's half an hour after I usually end. So what I want to do is who's streaming right now? Let's see. Watching an advertisement on my other window to see like who is it that we can raid. If any of you have any suggestions, let me know. I'd love we can get a raid going on there too. Right now I have on my list potentially Swill 6 and Hero Dev. A second ad, really? So Swill 6 is doing what looks like can't tell what editor that is. That's like a Unity type thing. Game dev, it looks like. And oh, Hero Dev is doing a C compiler for a GPU. Well, that sounds fun. I have never built any compilers myself. Let's go ahead and do another raid to Hero Dev then. So dev, start raid. All right, as I mentioned, I am doing these type of streams on weekday mornings when I can. So I should be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Mountain Time, and I do it for about an hour and a half before I head off to my day job at work. And then Sundays, like today, are the longer streams where I get to start from like 9 a.m. and go until, midday. So with that, I hope that you all have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time, whenever that is. Bye.